Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Felon with Firearms. And today we're going to be going through the process of how to disassemble and clean your Remington 870 shotgun. So let's get into it. This 870 model here is pretty dirty. Had a lot of rounds put through it. Haven't had much cleaning done to it. As you can see, before we get started, I'm gonna go over what we're gonna be using today. I got some CLP cleaner, protectant, and lubricant. I got it in oil form and spray form, depending on what kind you buy. I have a little pick. I have my screwdriver. Got some shotgun mops. And I also have my bore snake. And of course, have some latex gloves for protecting my hands. I got a couple brushes that we're going to use. So, the first thing you want to do before you take this gun down is you want to retract the action and check the chamber. Make sure there's any shells in the magazine, which in this case is empty. That way you know you're safe to operate, safe to manipulate this piece of equipment. And what we're going to do next, since this model does have a slant attachment up front, we're going to go ahead and take that off. It's lefty-loosey, just like every other screw in the world. Well, almost every other screw. What you do is slide that up front, put your pieces over there. Next, what we're going to do is retract the action and take the magazine cap off top. And you gotta be careful because it will fly off because of the spring, as you can see. Place that right there. Next thing you're gonna do is take the barrel out, which you should. Slide out. There you go. This part may be a little tricky for some guys. What you have to do is depress this. And when you look in there, it's action bars. So what you're gonna have to do is push in on the action bars. You gotta push one side, push the other side, and kind of wiggle it out. So here's your bolt, your carrier. At this point, you want to take your receiver, get a little bit of CLP, spray a little bit in the receiver. Brush it down, try to get a lot of the moving points. Brush it around and let the CLP do its magic. Don't really gotta worry about it too much. Down. Wipe it on down. Make sure you get it good, lubricate it real good. And at this point, just let the CLP do its job. For the barrel, I'm gonna just run a few patches through it. I use this brush because the patches stick to it. So but basically you're just gonna keep running it through the barrel until you don't see too much carbon buildup. Like as you can see, it's a little carbon in there. Not much carbon in there, so we're gonna go ahead and set that to the side. You're gonna basically just keep doing it until you can look down your barrel until you see no carbon buildup, which is pretty good. Occasionally, you want to run patches through your magazine barrel, which is basically going to be the same process. But when you do so, make sure that your magazine barrel is dry, because it's meant to be dry. It's meant to operate dry, and you don't want to have it too lubricated. For your fore-end assembly, you just want to get a rag, get a rag, some CLP, and just basically wipe it down. See, this thing is dirty. These typically become the dirtiest parts. So the carbon builds up well on there, so just make sure you really get to that. It's not unusual. Again, for some reason, it's one of the dirtiest parts of the firearm, so just wipe it down. So just wipe it down and that's it. And it's clean. For the bolt assembly, same thing. Get you some CLP, wipe it down. As you can see, it's really dirty. You want to pull this part up as well. Get up in there as best you can. Get the bolt face underneath the extractor. If you need to brush it, go ahead. And that's pretty much it. Same thing for the carrier. Go ahead, wipe down it. Go ahead, wipe it down with a CLP. Stop. Why you gotta be so destructive? Just make sure you wipe down all the surfaces. And one of the benefits of using a CLP versus a solvent, if you want to use a solvent, it's totally fine. Feel free to do so. But if you use a CLP, it'll go ahead and leave a thin coat of CLP already. So it keeps breaking down the carbon, and it also operates as a lubricant as you reassemble the shotgun. That's my personal belief, and that's why I use CLPs versus solvents. There we go. Looking into the receiver, brush this down a little more. As you can see, the CLP is already doing its job. Pretty good. You know what? Being that I don't know the condition of this shotgun, I'm gonna go ahead and take the trigger out. But you punch the hole and it typically come out on the other side. It's halfway out. Yep, pan pops straight out. It's a little stiff, but there it go. I'm gonna take this out, set that off to the side. The front punch is typically a little bit more difficult, which is why I got it braced up. Give it a little more force. This one should get it done. Yep, perfect. So we got that out for the front pan. Got that out. And now we can go ahead and pull your trigger out. Pull it down, push forward a little bit, wiggle it out. There we go. Got your trigger out. Go back to the brush. Get the rest of that. CLP was already in here and it's already done its job. Broke down the carbon. And continue to let that do its job. So, for the trigger housing, just take some cloth and same thing, spray a little CLP on it and just wipe it down. I know some guys, they'll just spray right on it, but I think that's a little excessive. So, as you can see, it's pretty dirty. But, like I said, I just like to just wipe them down. Just wipe it down real good. Make sure you get all these hung fibers from whatever cloth you use. And what I normally do, so I can get up under it, I set the trigger and just test the fire. But make sure when you do that, you hold the hammer so it don't go flying forward. Wipe it down real good. Then go ahead and reset the trigger so you can get it back in. Just a little TLC, man. That's all they need. So looking into the receiver, you can see the CLP is doing its job. So now what I'm gonna do is just insert a patch and work it around. Being careful, making sure not to get hooked on any bars on the inside. Just work it around, clean it up. Excess carbon and CLP. As you can see, it's definitely dirty up in there, but we're getting Big Baby taken care of. But again, just make sure you don't get hooked on any of the railing. And be sure to keep all this stuff away from your bulldog because they seem to not be able to tell the difference from dog toys and man toys. So she's over here having a field day with everything. She's saying good. We're gonna move on and lubricate and reassemble this shotgun. So the 870 manual recommend a very light surface of oil on all surfaces. And a couple of points that it specify and point to is the hammer and the spring. So I'm gonna put a little bit here, 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 here. Make sure I get these fibers off here. And just set that to the side. For your bolt carrier and bolt, what I do is I just put a drop here and here on each side because when you're actually firing, this is how it's moving. And when you look at your gun, when you got high firing counts, you'll see that that's where the wear is. So I put the lubrication there and that's good to go. To reassemble, we're gonna go ahead, put our trigger group in there. You slide it in basically the same way you took it out. You're gonna have to kind of work it in. And you just wanna make sure your hammer is back. There we go. You gotta make sure those pins are lined up. Put your pins in there. And you gotta make sure it's all the way back in the stock. And you make sure these pins are lined up. Now they are lined up perfectly. And we gotta put these pins back in. So we're gonna start with this front pin because it was the harder one to get in there. So we're gonna start with that one. Make sure it's flush. Flush on both sides, yep. Then we're gonna do the rear pin. There we go. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and put the bolt and bolt carrier on there. And so what you do is you line it up just like that. You can't do it backwards, regardless of how I did it earlier. And then the next you wanna have is put your bolt assembly on there. Just line it up. It's gonna be kind of hard to get on camera, but you wanna make sure your mag tube goes in your forend. And then you just want to just start it in there. So now that you got it started in, what you want to do is reach of them same spots that we were using to disassemble the action bar. You're going to push those in. And you're going to work one side and then the other side. There we go. Next to last, gonna go ahead and put our barrel back on. Make sure this ring aligns and goes over top of your mag tube. Just line it up flush there, pretty simple. Head lock in. Put your spring back in there. Mag extension, put it on the top, get on down there. Tighten it down. Put that down there too tight. But that is it. Now that it's all assembled, I'll go ahead and add a little lubrication right on the action bar where it meets the receiver. Go ahead and run that a few times. Cycle the action a couple times. Allow it to work its way in. Do the same thing on the opposite side, just a drop. You don't need to over lubricate it. Work it in there. So that's pretty much it to cleaning your 870. Pretty simple process. Last thing you may want to do is add a light coat of oil to the outside, rub it down, lubricator, get it shining real good. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. If you have any questions about the process or any other video that I may have on my channel, please leave it in the comment section below. If you would like to see me disassemble or clean any other firearms, leave it in the comment section. If I can get my hands on it, I'll break it down. So until next time.